Hello, my name is Mr. Chipman, and here we are looking at the 2025 FRQ questions, literally just a couple hours since they've been released. I have taken some time to work through them, and it was pretty rough. Honestly, it seemed like a pretty rough test this year, but nothing that you couldn't have handled if you were prepared well. And we're going to go through it. I'm going to go through question 1 in this video, and then I'm going to have subsequent videos looking at each question independently. And just a note, I don't have a solution guide in front of me other than the one that I have made myself, and I am quite capable of making errors. And so if that happens, I will be sure to note that later. And if you have a question or concern about my answers, please let me know in the comments down below. And so without further ado, let's look at question number 1. Question number 1. I like how they kind of embed the question. It's nice. Most proteins that are secreted from the cell must be transported to the endoplasmic reticula, either during translation or after translation. During and after, very important words in this particular prompt. Describe the function of ribosomes. Function of ribosomes is protein synthesis, or specifically translation, is what I would say, and I'd be done saying. Part A, done. For proteins transported during translation, this process begins in the cytosol and pauses when a specific sequence of amino acids is translated. The translation complex is then transported to the surface of the ER, where the translation continues. Proteins that are transported after translation are translated either in the cytosol and then transported to the ER. In both, I think I read that wrong, are translated entirely, in the cytosol and then transported to the ER. In both instances, translation proteins enter the ER through a protein channel in the membrane of the ER. Researchers study the two types of protein transport identified in the that the ER membrane protein SR is necessary for transport during. So SR is during, while the membrane protein SEC62 is after. All right, we're just going to color that to help us think about it later. To investigate which transport protein is used in different proteins, researchers first created small interfering RNAs that reduce the expression of either SR or SEC62, then treated the cells with either SR RNA, lots of letters, or SEC62 siRNA, and determine the relative amount of SR SEC protein in a group of cells compared with cells treated with control. All right, then here we go. Here's our graph. Relative control, or relative protein percent of the control, and then, then let's look. Part B1, or BI, however you say that. Identify the dependent variable in the experiments. Dependent variable is always in the y-axis. I'm not even going to go up here and no, I'm just going to look at the y-axis, right? Relative protein, content, percent of control is all my answer is going to be. Second part, justify why the researchers included the control of measuring the relative amounts of both SEC62 and SR proteins in the cells that were treated with SEC RNA only. Okay, and so the idea here is just, again, a basis of comparison. Why do you do any kind of control, right? It is to show that SR protein is not affected by the RNA that is specific to SEC62, and you see the same thing over here on this one. Same idea. Moving on, part 3. Based on figure 1, describe the effect of the production of SR protein when cells are treated with SEC62. All right, so SR proteins are not affected because they produce more protein. You could say that even, or it's not relative, it's not significantly more because the error bars. And so describe the effect. There is no effect, is what I would say. Moving on. Part C. Identify the independent variable in the researcher's second experiment. Now, this one's a little weird because you do see several things written down here, right? Independent variables always on the x-axis. But I would go with this one here, and you can confirm that in this small prompt up here, that they treated those with different kinds of siRNA, and so that's what I would say. I would say the different kinds of siRNA is my independent variable. This is the variable that's manipulating the experiment, right? 2. Based on figure 2, identify the protein that when treated with SEC siRNA showed an increase in the percent of transport. Increase in the percent of transport, and this is proteins, right? And both of those are going to be protein 2 and 3 showed an increase in the amount of protein that is transported. Increase because it's above 100 significantly. What else? Protein 1 is calculated. Oh, this is a fun one. This is fun. Protein 1 is encoded by 234 nucleotides when protein 2 is encoded by 495 nucleotides, assuming all nucleotides for both proteins encode amino acids. Calculate the difference in the number of amino acids between the two proteins. Nucleotides to amino acid ratio, right, is 3 nucleotides for 1 amino acid, 3 nucleotides for 1 codon, 1 amino acid, right? And so the first one is 234 divided by 3, which is 7 and 8, right? 78. Is that what I got? I got that. Yeah, got it right here beside me. But I'm just doing it again in my head. And then 3 divided by 495 is 165, right? And then you subtract those two numbers and you get 87. 87. Good third grade math. Not third grade concepts, but just third grade math. Moving on. Part D. Researchers claim that protein 1 is only tested, or is the only tested protein that is transported to the ER following the complete translation in the cytosol, using data from figure 2 to support the researcher's claim. Yes, so I brought my little pad over here because I thought this one was a little bit trickier, right? I had to kind of think about it and write something down. I think the researcher's data is supported, and it says using that I support the researcher's claim. And so, yes, you're supporting them. You're giving support for what they're saying, right? And it's because when you have the siRNA there, translation happens less, right? There's less of that happening, and so that's why. And then the second part, for any protein, and you see that here, protein, right? 100% control. Sorry, I didn't explain that very well. I just kind of went over it. For any protein that enters ER, researchers claim that amino acids close to the protein's amino terminus. If you remember, the amino terminus is like the NH2,3 spot. Determine how likely the protein is to pass through the protein channel of an ER membrane. Justify the researcher's claim based on your understanding of factors that affect transport across protein membranes. And so I kind of thought about a few things here, honestly. This could be a receptor-mediated situation, right, where the amino terminus is sort of the receptor area of the protein, and it mediates reception. It causes like sort of like an endocytosis sort of thing, or just that protein channel to open up. Or you could use the claim that the amino terminus N is charged, therefore it needs assistance across the membrane. I think as long as you understand that the chemical nature of the protein is such that it can't just get through the membrane, that it needs some sort of assistance, I feel like they're going to accept a range there as long as you have that understanding. Man, that was part 1. It's pretty difficult. The siRNA, interesting that you didn't need to really know what it did, right? We've talked about it in class, but it kind of told you what it did, and then you just had all this information that you kind of had to parse through. Not too bad, though. Hopefully you guys were able to do well in this one. We will be moving on to question number 2.